Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, it's noon here. We've got some pre-submitted questions. Let me go ahead and get my list up here. All right, and our first question is from Manal. And our question is there a way to have an open form button on the email without assigning the assignment? So user can review the form they submitted, but have to take no action? This is specifically like you want to provide some kind of assigned form like view for the submitter. No.
Good afternoon. Just like a simple open form so they can see the form once they submit it. So it doesn't have to be in their My Task, inbox. It's just like, is there any way they can the form can open to them? Or does it have to be in an assignment form?
You could, so what you could do is you can create like an extra, like it's not a, there's a document which kind of shows this. It won't be exact, but I think it's like if we look for guest, yeah, using guest accounts for anonymous tasking. You might want to take a look at this. But ultimately what you could do is you have the form and the form can be assigned, right? But you can also just build a separate flow that you could call that can fetch all the right data and show it on the same form. So what you have to do is kind of create a separate behavior, like a separate flow with the same form that the assignment's on that is set to end session that can have maybe the process folder ID or the case ID passed in, or the assignment ID, some property, and then it can fetch and show that form's data in a way that's not assigned at all. This example uses that approach to allow you to create an assignment, but for a guest user. And it uses some clever trickery. And you can see here, like there's an email they can click and they can open the form, but they're not, that user is not actually assigned to this specific form.
Okay, gotcha. I will definitely look into that. That makes sense. Thank you so much.
Okay, you bet. All right, and then Radley's got his hand up, so let's go ahead and go to Radley.
Hey, Will, a couple of questions for you today. One, you know when you create a form or a flow, I think for that matter, it creates a hidden history folder.
Yes.
I somehow have gotten a couple of orphaned history folders that are no longer attached to another object.
Okay.
Just curious how I can go about deleting those, marking those as deleted.
Probably the simplest way would be to create a report, and then we could figure out how to find those, and then maybe see if there's a delete action on them. Let's see if we can.
There isn't. I have the two that I know I want to delete, but I'm not seeing any delete capabilities.
I see. Then what I would do is if you click into them, you can get the folder ID out of the URL.
Yeah.
And I would build a flow. And then that flow, I would probably find a delete entity step and then pass in the ID. I think that should get rid of it for you. There's also delete entities. This one's there's been issues. I don't know. This one has been dangerous in the past, so I would avoid using this one. Yeah. But this one takes in the idea of something and should mark it deleted. And then you could just have it. You could just run it two or three times with a constant ID and confirm that those things get cleaned up.
Very good. Second question I have, when a user completes an assignment, from what I'm seeing, they can go into their history. They can change the view of their their inbox, go into their history, and they can view that form that they would have submitted for that assignment. I'm seeing that even when what's the setting? Save form result view. I'm seeing even when that's unchecked, that the user can still see their form.
What version are you running right now?
I am on, one moment.
We definitely had to fix this at one point where no matter what, it was always saving regardless of if that value was true or false.
I'm on 8.10.
That should be fix.
Okay,
This affects newer ones as well, like a
that's what I'm.
newly
Yeah,
launched assignment.
yeah. Certainly possible I'm doing something wrong, so I'm happy to keep testing if that is not the expected behavior.
No, I mean it should only. You're saying that someone. So if you have a process, you have an assignment. On the assignment, view completed form is set to false,
Correct.
and then I can go into that. Like I can click into a process folder. I see the activity view, and I can see view completed form still for that assignment.
No, I'm looking as the person who completed the assignment, and I can go into
Mm-hmm.
my history view, and I
Mm-hmm.
can pull up that form.
Like it like using a particular action or something,
Let me walk you right there.
or is it just that it shows in the report?
Yeah, so from my inbox,
Mm-hmm.
I can go to assignments including history. So I change the
Mm-hmm.
report to assignments including history. And then I can see,
Mm-hmm.
I can just click on my assignment and view completed form. So if you click on any of those,
Yes, and then this you should not have the view completed form action unless view completed form is set to true.
okay,
If
I'll
you're
keep
getting
working
that
on that.
still, and the assignment is set, if that value is set to false on that assignment, and it's on the assignment step specifically, like each
Right.
assignment, then that is a bug, and we need to
Okay.
fix that.
All right, I'll keep looking at that, make sure I have that all configured right. Great, that was what I had for today. Thanks, Will.
Yeah, let me just make a note and ask someone to test that really quick too. Okay, now Vitaly's got a question here. Is there a bug where we cannot use active flows or subdialog flows in repeaters that are nested in another repeater? No, but we've tried to tidy it up. Repeaters inside of repeaters are not supported at all. So if they are working, that's just by luck. So we don't intend to support the ability to put a repeater in a repeater at any point. So other issues surrounding repeaters in repeaters is not unexpected, I don't think.
Hey, Will.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got that. And what about the subdialog inside of the repeater? Is that not
A
expected?
subdialog on a repeater should work.
Well, the problem that I have seen is that when you call subdialog and you, let's say, update some repeater data, it goes
Mhm.
back. The data is there, but the UI is just spinning. So it's trying to render, but it's not doing that because, well, in browser console, there is an error saying that failed to update data. So if you use something like set data,
Mhm.
it fails to do that.
So
on,
if you
on
try
the
to
repeater
update the repeater
data,
item from a subdialog flow,
it doesn't matter. You can use the active flow. It just fails to do so if you use like set data or set property on object.
set data or set property, is that a step in a flow?
Yeah, on like in active flow or subdialog, there is a a step in form rules to set data on the control.
Mm-hmm.
So that one fails on the if you try to update data on the repeater.
Okay. I can ask. I don't know if that's a known issue today. Let me see here really quick. Yeah, let me ask and see if someone can reply by the time I get through some other questions here, Vitaly. I don't know of any known issues doing that. And I'm sure that we've got some builds in PS that are like setting values on repeaters. In fact, I think we have some examples of this in example lab today. Dynamic contents, autofill, Excel file. Using a subdialog on a data repeater. What's this one? Okay, come on, internet. The data repeater takes an entity name, fetch entity steps, all account information. Current item. This will pull in the entity name for the selected row. So all accounts, when you click the magnifying glass icon, a form will appear with additional information for the selected account. But does it update anything back? Using a data flow on a data repeater. Uses an entity called employees are included. By running the flow, these will be about add items data repeater. This looks similar, I think, even though it's using data flows and it's kind of older to what you're talking about. I've definitely gotten this to work recently. I was helping, it might have been Radley. Oh, Radley's gone. It might have been Radley with like uploading files or like we had like an example that we helped Radley with where there was a file upload, and when you would upload the file, it was like an image and it would show the image on the repeater. So I know that this works. I guess there might be something specific in the configuration here that's causing an error or possibly some kind of regression of some kind. Vitaly, I'm unsure. Probably need support's help to figure out why you're getting an error there.
Okay.
All right, and then Sean is up next, which is how do I create an I am not a robot validation for a user? Yeah, so you're thinking of like a reCAPTCHA type thing?
Yeah, something along those lines.
Yeah, you're gonna need to think about using like a JavaScript control if you need to create something custom like that. So if you look on the doc site for JavaScript control, you have to write a little bit of JS and create a control to be able to do that today.
I see. And so okay, so you would use a I guess um is that let's see. Is that a merge HTML step or
No, it's like a whole, like if you come into the
Oh,
doc site and search for JavaScript controls, it's a type of control. You write some JavaScript and then you can basically create a custom control using JavaScript and then have that be rendered by decisions.
I see.
So to do a reCAPTCHA, you need to create a custom control with JavaScript, and then this JavaScript control type thing, this JavaScript control is the decisions form control that you can use to do that work.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I didn't know whether or not there was a a sort of method provided through decisions, or if it would have to be implemented through a third party sort of source.
Yeah, you can do it in decisions. It's pretty trivial to include because Google gives you just like some simple HTML and an auth key that you can use. But yeah, you do to get it to work, you do need to use you'll have to look to using a JavaScript control to get decisions to do that work for you.
Okay, so okay, and I can find and the way to implement that JavaScript, that would just be I can find that with the under the JavaScript controls. I guess section in on the decisions uh training library.
I'm sorry, ask that question again.
I can just find how to actually implement JS through
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, I see.
correct. Yep. So I'd familiarize yourself with these docs. I can't really help with the writing of the JavaScript.
Right.
But this would be the approach you need. And if there's like a front end dev at your organization that you could get some time from, I'm sure this is probably pretty trivial for them to put together.
Okay.
Vitaly's asking if you can just get an API embed to do reCAPTCHA. I don't think so, but maybe. I think you have to. I don't think you can just use an HTML display, but maybe you can.
Okay.
So Vitaly's offering some other solution. You're talking
Appreciate
about it. I guess Vitaly, you're talking about using like an HTML display.
it.
Yeah, well, so it depends on the complexity of the form or the use case.
Mhm.
I see. So okay. A little bit trickier than I thought.
It is. It is a little bit. It's not standard, that's for sure, but
Yeah.
doable. Like I have
Doable.
done it years and years ago using a JavaScript control.
I see. Just takes a bit of working around. Understandable. Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Sir, Will, I just wanted to say it's not going to be complex for that JavaScript. Your JavaScript basically is going to be listening to that HTML thing that Google will provide you with. And it's simple. You just check if you pass or not. So it's not going to be complex JavaScript.
So you're basically just checking for effectively a Boolean value.
You just check on the control in the browser window, and Google will provide you with the whole embedding on the HTML.
Is there a link to that
To Google one?
no, no, I think I misinterpreted what you said.
There is no JavaScript, but basically that JavaScript will it's going to be a couple lines of code saying, hey, listen to this element on the browser window. If I pass, then trigger validation control
I see.
on decision side.
I see. Okay. I guess I can Thanks. Yeah, I have a couple things I can try playing around with and seeing which one ends up working best. But I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Now, next up, we have got Alex. Let me find that question here. I think we have a partial question here from you, Alex, given what they sent me. So let me unmute you. How to get all items from a flow data extension whose status is, that's all I have. Is there some additional
No,
information
like
there?
it's is X, basically to use it in the where clause kind of thing.
You want to get, so you have like a process folder,
Yep.
right? And you want to get all of everyone, you want to get the, say, like submitter property for everything that's in the closed state or something.
Something along those lines, yeah.
I think a report's probably the easiest way to do this.
Yeah, so so I'm in a flow though, and
It's okay.
and I'm pulling stuff in from various different places, and the output that I want is a string array. So I did try the run report thing because I do
Okay.
I've got like a table adapter, or
Yep.
table, so I've tied the two together, the type and the process folder in the
Okay.
report. But now I'm trying to figure out how to get the output from the report into a string array, or I was actually even wondering if this is actually the best approach. Or
Yeah.
another thing I thought was to use like a raw SQL step kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then
Definitely the
convert that
SQL would work.
So is there a best way to do this, or does it matter? Or
Well, with the, like, you can get, like, so with the, let's say I have some low data extensions in here, I'm sure. Easier to find. I don't, but let's assume I do. Like, here's, let me create one. Sorry, let me create one. Just a moment here. Flow execution extension, test one. Here's str1. Okay, and then let me just create a flow really quick to create one. Oops. So here's setup process folder. And I'll use extension data. Build data. Just gonna give myself a record here. And I'll put in, some text for str1. So what I would do, I think the simplest way to do this is if you create a report of that data source, though you might have, I'm not sure why, it sounds like you're joining some things together. Either way, you can create a report. So here's flow data extension, exe test, right?
Yep.
I could come in here and I could find, say, string ID or string one, and I could put a filter on this. So I'd say, where entity filter, where field filter state equals, I'll just leave it to show all when empty. Okay. And then what I can do, oops, sorry, let me come back there. What I can do is under results here, report access, I can click this checkbox to generate step to run report. And I'll call this, get my execution extension data. Then what this gives me, if I save this, this is going to it's going to force a code compile. And if I come and create a flow and I find my run report step, so designer entities, reporting, run report, I can then select that report, which I will pick the one I just created here. And then under return data options, with select type, it'll give me that type. And that type will be, if I look at Data Explorer, report You see, I've only got, it's gonna be equal to whatever the columns are. So
Right.
here, so this way, if I needed, say, all the str1 values, I can get those as a string array out of the run report step.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that.
So I mean, if you know what the tables are and you want to write the SQL, that's just as fine. If you don't want to figure out the table back end and use the reports, this would be a fine approach as well. And you get the data type. The only thing to keep in mind is saves to the report do force a code compile now, since the type, the output for the number of columns determines the
Right.
properties of the output type.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. All right, and now let's go ahead and get to Nancy. How can I, let me see. Get your question in here. All right, so how can I pop up a form or page when a user opens a dashboard based on a rule? They open the dashboard directly from a link versus log into the portal. They're logging you in via SSO to add on. It's so they can accept terms and conditions. Is this like on only the initial time you want it to pop up?
Yeah, so we've got a table that'll store that they've accepted them. And so if once they've accepted them, and maybe we have to undo it and they have to accept it again, so that's controllable. So if they're in there, then we don't want that to pop up. But if they're not in that, then they would pop up.
Yeah, are they like accessing a dashboard with like Chrome equals off? Like, are they?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if this will work, but it's worth a shot. If you come into portal settings and you search for login, there's two login flow behaviors. There's login user flow, which can't have user interface, and then login user flow, like show before portal loads. This could have a form in it.
Yeah, so we have that, but it does. But they have to log into the portal, and we don't want to give them portal access.
So, okay, so you're saying like if you give them a link with Chrome equals off, this doesn't show at all?
Right. Like we can control the buttons and like, hey, you can't, just like on any form, but is there a way like that so to step back, if we have that, yes, it will pop when they log into the portal, but they're not logging into the portal, and so that won't pop up. So and we can put controls on like, oh, well, the buttons are all disabled until this, but we want to kind of like, can you basically force something to pop up when they go into a dashboard or a page?
Can you fire off a subdialog flow programmatically? You probably could get a form, like you have a flow run part on a page that has a form, and that form has a subdialog flow. Let's see. So let's find subdialog here. Okay, yeah, run at startup. Okay, run at startup, pick or create new subdialog flow. And in here, we'll show another form, pick or create. And let's say this is the TNC. This is accept or whatever. All right, let's see here. And accept is change data. And then we'll save this. All right. And then we'll save this. And then we'll save this. So if then I could create, let me add a folder. Okay, let me create a page. Excuse me. We'll create a page. On that page, I'm gonna search for flow run part. And I'm gonna pick the flow I just created, which that shouldn't show there. Bear with me just a minute. There's 4. Let me save this and let me put this page on my dashboard. More garbage text, and there's page 1. Save, no. Okay, yeah. And basically what you just do is, so this I think will work. You could hide that, you can use the controls to hide this to make them accept or deny, and then do something with the denial path.
Mhm.
And then you could just hide this this section here to make this invisible.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Like you don't need this. This doesn't need to be visible to the end
Right.
user in any way.
Right, right. Okay, so
I think this approach might give you what you're after.
okay, so just recap. So that was a flow run part, okay? And then so
Yep.
that's really all it is it's creating a flow run part that's fired off.
Yeah, the flow run part always shows on the flow run part renders a form. The
Uh-huh.
flow run part form has a subdialog flow
Uh-huh.
that is set to run at startup to show the subdialog flow at startup. Will, I think this is probably a reasonable like addition to our like complex use case list. As a note.
You go.
I'm sorry, Nancy, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Okay, all right. So flow run part, okay, form. All right, I'll give that a try.
Yeah, and then you could, there's settings on the form to like hide this so you can force them to only be able to close it with a button.
How do you do that?
It's under form settings. Let's go to flow for form. Oh, I'd have to go into the subdialog flow, right? So let me edit. Here it's form setup, I think. Subdialog. Ooh. Own window. No, where do I? Is it? Form. It's one of these. Which is it? Form title. No, that's not it. It's not background color. Own window. Hide. I guess it's hide title bar. I don't know. And if I come here, there you go. Now I can't close it without accepting a button.
Okay. All right.
So you can enforce that acceptance. And anytime and then you just have to, in the subdialog flow, run to check to see if your database says, you know, this user ID has already accepted this thing or not.
Okay. Okay. All right. Cool. Learned a few things. Great. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, you bet. All right, I think that's all of our pre-submits and all the questions I see in the queue so far. So let me know if you have anything else. All right, I think that's everything then. All right. There's some debate about if login flows do or don't work. Anybody else have anything? Yeah, I probably agree with Nancy here. I mean, most of the maybe the UI one, I don't know. Definitely our SSO implementation requires the login flow behavior to work to sync data. So some subset of them definitely work. All right. Okay. Thanks everybody for the questions. I will be back at the same time tomorrow. And then we've got Jared on Wednesday and Dylan on Thursday. Have a great afternoon.